Warm welcome, viewers. You're watching To The Point. Our top story is the Congress possible implosion in the state of Goa, but visuals coming in, viewers, and take a look at it. Visuals coming in from the Karjan Dam in Gujarat, where 9 doors of the dam have now been opened to let out 210,000 cusecs of water overflowing from the Narmada River. You know, these visuals coming in, monsoon raining mayhem, especially in the state of Gujarat. 61 people have till now lost their lives. Villages around the Narmada River on high alert already. And these visuals filtered in where the authorities had absolutely no other way but to open out all doors of the dam, all gates of the dam, to let out 210,000 cusecs of water overflowing from the Narmada River. This, of course, viewers, will result in the flooding of nearby villages. There was a red alert earlier. Now, what has happened is that the authorities have tried their best to relocate the low-lying areas, where villages are in low-lying areas, to relocate those villages to higher places. But the authorities were left with absolutely no other possible way. They couldn't resort to anything else but to open out all the doors, all the gates of the dam. This was the only solution, and now 2 lakh cusecs of water has 210,000 cusecs of water from the overflowing Narmada River has been let out from the dam, and you can see the water gushing through. You know, these could definitely be scary visuals coming in, especially for the low-lying villages around the river Narmada. It had reached the danger mark where the dam was concerned. There were earlier on indications suggesting fears that the dam could actually burst because it was holding in over 210,000 cusecs of water. What has really happened, viewers, which has led to these dramatic visuals coming through, is the fact that in the last 24 hours alone, the state of Gujarat has seen 18 inches or mm of rainfall, which has resulted in flash floods in parts of Gujarat, in the city of Ahmedabad as well, but in other parts of Gujarat coming in completely inundated. The areas around the river Narmada where the dam gates have been opened have all been put on high alert now. The villagers in low-lying areas have been advised to immediately evacuate, move to higher areas. The administration is assisting, setting up camps in higher areas to actually remove these people living in villages in low-lying areas and rehabilitate them, at least for now. All right, viewers, we leave you with those dramatic visuals coming in from Gujarat as we keep a keen eye on the monsoon raining fury in the state of Gujarat. 61 people right now, I beg your pardon, are dead, washed away in the floods. We continue to get you the latest update, but let's shift focus right now and to the point, to the state of Goa, where the Congress, viewers, once again is in crisis mode. What happened in Maharashtra with the Shiv Sena possibly happening right now in Goa. All hands on deck is what the Congress says. Till now, nothing untoward is happening, but Congress pretty much on the cusp of defections and implosion.
प्रतिज्ञा करता काँग्रेसीन जे आमकां तिकीट दिल्लें आसा त्या हातून आमी निवडून येवन आमी देवटेन वच नासतना पक्षा बरोबर एकनिश्ठ रावन.
5 months ago, they took a public oath of loyalty to the Congress. That pledge is now under a cloud of suspicion. The Congress in Goa claims its leaders, Michael Lobo and former Chief Minister of Goa, Digambar Kamat, are plotting a split within the party with the active interest and help of the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party.
We have brought this to the notice of our High Command, and we will be taking action against them. Whatever action that has to be taken as per law against this kind of defections, this kind of anti-party work, this kind of hobnobbing with the opposition parties, that will follow.
The Congress has filed a disqualification petition with the Speaker against both Kamat and Lobo. The alleged defectors have rubbished these charges laid by its own party.
Have you been promised any lucrative posting or a position, perhaps the Chief Minister's post as
No,
well?
no, no. Nothing like that. I had told Gundu Rao that I may be relieved because there were too many people trying to get that position. So whoever wants that position, they can have it.
But I saw a video of the press conference of Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao, which is being circulated, which I am shocked, stunned, and it has hurt me behind words. Because of your humiliation to me after the elections, my workers every year, they have anger. I am trying to go out with that hurt of my workers. I am also deeply hurt.
5 Goa Congress MLAs attended the assembly proceedings on Monday, the first day of the monsoon session. For a split to take place legally, the rebels need at least 8 MLAs to make the switch. The BJP has called the Congress charges baseless.
हमें किसी की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, हमारा स्टेबल गवर्नमेंट है, 25 MLA का हमें सपोर्ट है, that's all.
After Maharashtra, Operation Lotus seems to be taking shape in Goa. A split within the Congress, if it happens, will mean Chief Minister Sawant will enjoy a slender majority. For the Congress, it will be a huge embarrassment again, as the last assembly too, most of its members had crossed over to its rivals. With Pankaj Upadhyay, Bureau Report, India Today. All right, so what's going down in Goa? Operation Lotus afoot. The Congress says that, in terms of the Congress in charge, says that there are key Congress players in Goa who are trying to defect and break the Congress. Let's cut across right now to RP Singh, spokesperson BJP, Adil Singh Boparai, spokesperson Congress, and I have with me in the studio Rajdeep Sardesai, consulting editor, who's half Goan himself, follows Goa very closely. Rajdeep, what's going on in Goa? As expected?
Absolutely. It's Aya Lobo, Gaya Lobo. You know, it's been Aya D'Souza, Gaya D'Souza. It started off in your home state of Haryana in the 1960s, Aya Ram, Gaya Ram, but we've taken it to another level. In the last assembly, of the 40 members, there were more than 30 who had defected at some stage or the other in their political career. And the Congress, which is out of power at the moment, is the most vulnerable. It's a decade since they've been out of power in Goa, and Goa works on the power principle. Every MLA, in a sense, is a local dada. So he wants, or he or she wants to be with the party in power at all costs. It's happened when the Congress used to be in power. It's now happening with the BJP. And that's exactly what we are seeing. Because the Congress lost the elections 5 months ago, 11 MLAs of the Congress are extremely vulnerable. And for the Chief Minister Pramod Sawant, it's an opportunity to break the Congress, as he did 3 years ago, and make himself stronger vis-a-vis his own rivals in the BJP. So no power, no principles, no morality. All the MLAs who contested and even went to a church, to a mosque, to a temple, claiming they would never defect in their lives, are now more than, or several of them appear to be vulnerable to these defections. Just one more point. Mr. Lobo, Michael Lobo, who is supposed to be leading the defections, is interestingly someone who defected from the BJP to join the Congress, and Digambar Kamat, who is also part of this defection plan, former Chief Minister, is one of only 2 Congress MLAs who last time did not defect or switch sides before the election. So clearly now defection politics is normalized in Goa to the point where it simply doesn't seem to have any impact. It represents a new low in national politics, but that's the way Goa is. It is Aya D'Souza, Gaya D'Souza, or Aya Lobo, Gaya Lobo, or should I say Aya Sardesai, Gaya Sardesai, because Vijay Sardesai also defected. So it cuts across caste, community, political parties. Congress most vulnerable at the moment, and the BJP the beneficiary.
You know, Rajdeep, I'm going to ask you one quick question before I cut across to our political panelists, and that is, has the Congress dealt with this current crisis, which it finds itself again, better than what it had the last time? You know, you had P. Chidambaram during elections, right before elections, who came in. Before that, it was disastrous with the likes of Digvijay Singh. This time around, with Mukul Wasnik and the Congress suddenly taking it more seriously, is there a difference or the same way of handling?
Well, you know, to be fair, it appears that the Congress at least acted swiftly. Till yesterday morning, it seemed as many as 9 of the 11 could leave and switch sides. By the evening, at least 5 had returned back into the Congress fold. We are told at least 6 are with the Congress, 5 are with Mr. Lobo and Mr. Kamat. They did act relatively swiftly. Dinesh Gundu Rao, secretary in charge, arrived from Karnataka on Saturday morning, the moment the whiff of this was all over Goa, and Mukul Vasnik has now been sent. But look, there's only so much you can do. When you're in opposition in a state like Goa, there's very little you can offer. When you're in government, there are real estate deals to be done. There's the huge mining lobby, all of which have a disproportionate influence on politics in Goa. But my limited point is, we keep saying in television studios, na khaunga, na khane dunga. You know, Mr. R.P. Singh should just travel to Goa and tell me what is the going rate for MLAs to switch sides. And that, in a sense, reflects the debasement, the immorality of our politics. MLAs are available for a price to the highest bidder.
Well, Mr. R.P. Singh will say what the BJP still says, that we have nothing to do with what is going down in the state of Maharashtra. We have nothing to do with what is going down in the state of Goa. But R.P., you know, I'll bring in our political panelist as well. Adil Singh Bopurai, the fact that just about 6 months ago, your collective MLAs of the prospect MLAs of Goa took oaths in various religious institutes, be it temples, churches, mosques. You know, that's the least bit of your embarrassment, because once again you find yourself neck deep in crisis. It's just a different state this time.
Well, Preeti, democracy is being sacrificed at the altar of money and muscle power. And I cannot in the recallable past think of any more brazen attempt by the ruling BJP at the center to misuse agencies, to use muscle, mining, real estate mafia, these lobbies, to somehow break opposition parties. Now let me give you one illustration, and this is verifiable. Mr. Digambar Kamat is facing an ED case in the Louis Burgess camp. The complaint has been filed by the Enforcement Directorate. So he has the sword of ED hanging over his head. So therefore the BJP has utilized that to the hilt to ensure that he defects, or he attempts or conspires to destabilize the Congress party. Similarly, Mr. Lobo, who was formerly with the BJP, then defected to the Congress, and now of course he's been conspiring with the BJP. He appears to be a seasonal turncoat who changes tracks depending on which side the wind is blowing.
But you did give him the position of the leader of opposition, Adil.
Well, I think the bigger issue, Preeti, here is that in state after state, and I can give you illustrations over the past 8 years, Uttaranchal, Arunachal, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Goa, this is happening with recurring frequency. You have money power, you have muscle power, you have misuse of central agencies, ED, IT, and this is all Operation Lotus. In state after state, in Maharashtra, what you saw, 17 MLAs who are owing allegiance to the Shinde faction have ED cases or ED notices. So therefore, this is all being done by the top duo, or the top duo of the BJP is sitting here in Delhi. But I think this marks the death knell of democracy in this country. I think
it might
that's the case.
It might be a little comforting to blame, you know, what's happening at the center, or the ED, or horse trading, or money power, all of that. But, you know, your own house is clearly not in order, Adil.
Preeti, when you have, I'll tell you, you put this question to me. When you have Mr. Digambar Kamat facing an ED probe in the Louis Burgess camp, you know how the agencies are functioning today. What happened to the case against Himanta Biswa Sarma? He was facing a case the moment.
Adil, we've lost you, but you know your leader, are they that thin-skinned then? I want to just bring in R.P. Singh into this conversation. R.P. Singh, Operation Lotus afoot in the state of Goa. You're being charged by misusing central agencies. You're being charged by buying out MLAs. Even a sum has been given right now by Mr. Gundu Rao, saying 40 crores an MLA.
I'll appreciate, Preeti, if you have some evidence, please bring those evidence on record, or I'll appreciate Adil Bopurai or Gundu Rao should bring those evidence on record. I mean, just throwing blames or just putting blame would not help, one. Secondly, just now Mr. Adil Bopurai was talking about Maharashtra, that 17 MLAs face ED charges. Still 23 more joined, and then 10 more independent also joined. So it's not only 17. But he will never talk about his Safta Busiri shop which he has opened in in Maharashtra, and then one of his ministers is in jail because of that reason. So we all know what's happening in Maharashtra, and we all know what's happening in Goa also, and what's happening as a part of the country also. Today, the Congress is leaderless. The leader doesn't have power or doesn't have that charisma to take his flock together or keep his flock together. So people are leaving, and then the leader is busy with many more things which he thinks is more important in his life than doing politics or being in social service. So the party's leaderless one, and then they have no policies also. I mean, other than criticizing Prime Minister Modi again and again. If we ask them some alternative to whatever the policy we are taking, for example, if we are giving houses to more than 3 crore people in the country, they have no option. They don't live on their promises which they make in respective states also. So people are looking for alternative, and then if within their party they don't find things going as per the required or desired promises made, so they look for alternative, and they can easily blame us. There's an easy way out, but they have to manage their house. That's the first thing, and they are not able to do that, whether it's Goa or whether it's Maharashtra. Maharashtra, they didn't have much say in Maharashtra.
All right, okay, I want to bring in Rajdeep Sardesai as well as Adil Singh Bopurai back into this conversation. Adil, the fact is, right now both TMC, the Aam Aadmi Party is going to town saying Congress is equal to BJP, we told you so, yet Goa voted for these men who have now jumped ship.
Well,
or in the process of jumping ship.
Firstly, Preeti, the BJP is brimming with arrogance. Mr. Sardesai has seen more political seasons than all of us put together, and he would perhaps second that the shoe will be on the other foot, because that's the nature of politics. What the BJP is doing today, the shoe will be on the other foot. Nobody remains in power forever. Pick up any country, pick up any political party. The problem today is that they are destroying democracy. They are burying democracy. They are misusing agencies. Ask any person walking on the street. Ask him dispassionately, and he will tell you that agencies are...
that's a very easy excuse, and I'll bring in Rajdeep into this conversation. Okay,
I can give you examples, illustration. Digambar, Kamat, ED probe, Louis Berger. What happened to the allegations against Hemanta Sharma? What happened to the allegations against Mukul Roy?
Can I answer that?
There was a Supreme Court ruling in the Uttarakhand case. What happened in Karnataka? What is 17 ED notices? I hope the ED will now follow through the ED investigation against the Shinde MLAs. Will they follow through those investigations?
No, fair point. Okay. Fair point. Okay, I'll bring in Rajdeep. Sir, RP Singh, I know you want to come in, but there is this washing machine effect which the Congress and your other opposition parties keep talking about. They have these cases against them, which are various central agencies cases. In the recent past, we've seen the ED, and the minute they join your camp, then they all come out clean. The cases go cold.
Then why do they give ticket to such people at the first stage? They do the selection of such people when they give ticket to such people from their party to contest. So when they are in their party, it's okay. When they join BJP, then ED is pressurizing them. That's the easy way out. And today it's not only Digambar Kamat, there are more people. I've been told 11 people escaped the meeting today. If you want me to read the name, you want me to read, give me a second. You want me to read the name Kedar Naik, Rajesh Falaswa, Yuri Alamo, Alatona De Costa, big list. People who went for the party meeting also. So all of them are facing ED charges. And then, sir, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai is a very seasoned person, but we have also worked in party and politics from last 45.5 years. And then parties doesn't work on basis of ED pressure. I mean, we work on ideologies. We work on party functions on regular working. It's not that you wake up one morning, do some lecturing, go and do some speeches, and then come back and go for a holiday.
RP Singh, no, we are not saying, we are not insinuating that parties are acting under pressure, but what I really did do was, over the course of the last 3-4 days, when this charge has been constantly leveled by the opposition, in the last 6 months, RP Singh, all the opposition leaders which your party, the Bharatiya Janata Party, has taken save one, there has been no interrogation, no investigation, forget about arrest, any of the leaders that have been taken in who had cases which were hot before the BJP took these leaders on. We can put that list through, but it's just I'm just putting up the facts and the data that are out there. I want to bring in Rajdeep Sardesai back into this conversation.
Let me tell you the reality. Can I share the reality
I'll
with
come
you?
back to you. Would you give me a minute? Give me a minute. So I'll come back to you. I promise. I want to bring in Rajdeep Sardesai back into this conversation. Rajdeep, the fact is, you know, what Adil is saying, what the Congress says, it's the ED heat, it's money power, muscle power. Now the fact is, it is the Congress's foot which is most vulnerable.
It is a mix of various factors. Let's be honest. Mr. Lobo, when he was in the BJP, the Congress made serious corruption charges against him. And just a few months before the election, because they saw him as someone who could get them 4 or 5 key seats in North Goa, brought him into the party. Mr. Digambar Kamat faces these charges at a time when he was the Congress Chief Minister of Goa. These charges have continued since then. So it's not as if the Congress also doesn't go into the situation with its eyes open. The fact is, corruption in states like Goa, defection Raj in states like Goa has been normalized. Mr. R.P. Singh is mentioning ideology. What ideology when more than 30 of the 40 BJP candidates who contested this election in Goa were people who had come from other parties? They had not come from the BJP. They came from other parties. The BJP was more than willing. The BJP in Goa, as I call it, is a Congress-yukt BJP. It has, most of its leaders have come to it from the Congress party. So there is no ideology there. This is purely about the principle of power. You break a party to make yourself stronger. The Congress today is more vulnerable because the Congress is simply out of power. It's not as if, as I said, the Congress, when it was in power, did not break the smaller parties. In the first 5 years of Goa's independence, from 1987 to 92, we had 5 chief ministers in Goa. So the Congress was very vulnerable in those days to internal power struggles. The BJP, to be fair, is less vulnerable to internal power struggles, but the BJP, because at the moment in Goa there's a battle between Pramod Sawant and Vishwajit Rane, who himself has come from the Congress. Mr. Sawant is now using these defectors to strengthen himself. So the BJP is more than willing to take in defectors, and the BJP is more than willing to use agency power at times to intimidate rivals to join them. That it goes without say. I mean, Mr. R.P. Singh can say what he wants. That is the reality.
R.P. Singh, quickly, you wanted to come in for a rebuttal. Go ahead, sir.
I strongly deny, and I'm not okay with what Mr. Sardesai is saying, that we use ED power or any other power. If Mr. Sardesai, you are a very learned journalist and you have a lot of influence also, please, next time when you speak with some evidence.
But he didn't say that.
Put vague
Look, I am saying, all I am saying is that there are many people in Goa, sir, who have cases against them, who the moment they switch to the BJP, those cases seem to disappear.
Okay, go ahead. R.P. Singh, quickly, and then I'll close the show.
Mr. Sardesai, there are cases against you also, but you never switch over to BJP. I mean, leave that aside. So
because I've got nothing to hide. Because I've got nothing to hide. The day you have something against me, I might join you. I have nothing to hide, sir.
Preeti, can I make a short interjection, please?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Did we ask you to join? We don't want you to join BJP. I mean, you are good where you
why
are.
we get into personal attack? One second. Why make it personal?
We don't need you in the BJP.
Mr. Singh, it's not personal. Why get into these personal
attacks? Can I come in, please?
Please, you know, like, come on, sir. You've never done that before. Why get into it right now?
He's in habit of laying charges without any evidence.
I'm sorry. I am sorry, sir. Let's not get into personal attacks. The fact is, I told you that, and I said that there have been leaders who have taken, you know, which your party has taken on, which had hot trails, not just the ED, I'm saying central agencies, which have gone cold. It's a fact. You know that, sir. Mr. Singh, you know that.
Not at all. It's other way around. I mean, we have been, give me a second. We are,
Himanta
give me a second.
Sir.
Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, ED took his own time. And when the cases were being pursued by ED, said, why so much of delay?
Okay,
it depends on the agencies. I mean, they have priorities.
I'm sorry, Adil. I know you wanted to come in. I've run terribly short of time. May I apologize? Can I apologize to all three of you? I know you wanted to come in with a rebuttal. Appreciate you all for joining us.